Hi everyone, Mindy back today, and I have a new card, something different that I'm trying, and I'm going to be using these modern Peonies stamp set from WPlus9. So this is a new technique that I've been wanting to try, so I decided to be brave and give it a try. And this is my first time doing this, so I'm doing it right on camera for you to see how it goes. So there was that beautiful Peonies stamp set from WPlus9. It's got some gorgeous flowers on there that I'm going to use. And I had already gone ahead and created masks for these. I did that off camera to kind of save some time. So I'm starting off with 4 1/4 by 5.5 piece of Canson watercolor paper. And I'm going to be stamping this in Simon Says Stamp Black Intense ink. This is Copic friendly and waterproof, so I'm just going to go ahead and use that. And I did stamp that twice. Since this is watercolor paper, it does have a texture to it, so I just wanted to make sure I had that nice crisp impression. I went ahead and applied my mask to my flower image because that's the one I want to be in the front. And then I went ahead and stamped that other one, and I'm adding a mask here too because I wanted to add some leaves. And I am using the Inkadinkado masking paper. That's just what I happen to have on hand. So once my masks were in place, I'm doing some of the leaves now on to the flowers and just cleaning off in between. And each of those leaves are going to have double stamping as well. So I want to make sure I had those nice crisp lines. And a few more just to kind of fill in some areas. And I have a little explanation for this card and this technique that I'm doing, which I'll give to you here in just a little bit as soon as I finish off the stamping of this. And on my Misty tool, I invested into some of the Misty mouse pads, so I'm able to wipe that excess off. I don't have to worry about going through any of the sheets of paper. So now I can go ahead and remove my masks. See, make sure I did everything right, because masking is not something I'm extremely good at. It does take me a couple times to really figure out where things are going to lay. So I'm really happy with how this turned out. Okay, so I'm going to be using the Distress Oxides to be doing my coloring. And this card is completely inspired by Kelly Ladevol. I love her channel. I love watching her videos. I love watching her color. She's mainly, I would say, a Copic person, but she does go into watercoloring and lots of other mediums. So I've really been loving her channel. And in one of her videos that she had recently done, she had kind of given her viewers an assignment, so to speak. I'm giving you quotation marks since you can't see that, but in her little assignment was to be brave. That was the stamp she was using, and to encourage her viewers to be brave about something. And it could be in anything, whether it was in life or your card making or artwork. And so excuse me, I took that for me personally to try something different. If you watch my channel, you know that I'm mainly a Copic marker person. I love my Copics. I'm comfortable with my Copics. I'm not an expert in them, but I'm comfortable where I'm at with them. So coloring with something other than that is a struggle for me, and I'm nervous and I'm scared to do it. So this is where I took the leap and I decided to color this image with Distress Oxides. And what I had done is I kind of smushed some down off on my craft mat there, and I'm just dropping in color. I'm wetting my brush, I'm dipping it into each of the colors, and then putting that onto my paper and kind of spreading that out in a rainbow order. Looking back, I actually kind of wished I would have done a different green. I used cracked pistachio in here, and it was a little too light, but this was my first time. I was lucky to even be doing this, let alone try and correct anything. So I just went with it. I left it. Once I kind of gave it a little bit of time to dry, I did go back over the top of them to try and brighten up those colors a little bit. So for all of these, I'm using picked raspberry, spiced marmalade, cracked pistachio, Mermaid Lagoon, and Wilted violet. I left out the yellow just because I honestly have a hard time with yellow, and I didn't trust myself with it. I didn't think I was going to get a really good impression with it. So I left that off, and I'm still completely happy with the rainbow order that I have. And then you can see here, I'm just flicking on some color to add some more interest to the background. And I did clean my brush off in between each color so that I wasn't mixing anything. So I'm going to go ahead and just dry this off with my heat tool, the front and the back, to try and minimize any warping that there would be with the cardstock. And now this is also something completely new for me, as I'm taking some more of those colors. I squish them down onto my mat, and I'm using a smaller paintbrush, and I'm kind of going over areas where I would have with my Copic markers. So I'm trying to lay in some color to give it a little bit of dimension. And like I said, this is the first time I've done it like this, and especially doing it on camera. So this is a really big leap for me. You're kind of watching me learn. And it was a little bit of a struggle for me, but like I said, it's something I'm just going to keep practicing with because I love the look of it. Kelly does an amazing job with it, and I will link to her videos down below in my description area as well, so you can take a look at those and see what it really should look like. But I'm really happy with how the card turned out. And like I said, I was taking that assignment on to myself to be brave and try something new. And this was something completely new. But they are gorgeous. These flowers are gorgeous. I do have a plan to color them with my Copic markers, and then I can kind of compare the difference. And I will, look over what could I have done differently. And like I said, one of the things is I would have changed up my green. I would have gone for a little bit more of a brighter green. This was just a little bit too muted for me. I like my bold, bright colors. And like I said, it was just something that I really didn't want to try and fix on this. I'm still happy with it. It's just something to note for down the road. And so I just go over each of those colors, the inside of the flower, dipping it into my ink on the side there, getting my brush wet and kind of spreading it out a little bit just to make these colors really pop. And I actually had intended to put a stencil with this, and I completely forgot. I got carried away with the coloring of it all, so I completely forgot to add a stencil before I started doing the watercoloring. And then I can finish this off with the Wilted Violet, putting in shadows where I typically would have with my Copic markers. So that's just going to finish off the flower, and then I can continue on to adding a sentiment. And this is also something really different for me, as I'm not really well known for doing one layer cards. So that was also a change. This stamp set is from CC Design. Absolutely love her stamp sets, so you'll certainly have to go and check those out. And I'm going to use my Misty tool, especially since this is the watercolor paper. It's not really flat. There wasn't a lot of warping, but a little bit of bend to it. So I'm going to hold that down with my magnet, and I'm going to come in with this Seriously stamp set, line that up where I want it to go, and I'm going to use the Misty corners to help me straighten that. And being that that little corner was just a little too short for me, I'm bringing out the ruler. I believe this also came with the Misty supplies. So I can line that up straight with that ruler and close the door to pick up that stamp set, and then that'll be nice and straight. And I can also double check with the lines that are on the Misty door as well. And so I'm just coming in with that Simon Says Stamp ink again, and I will stamp that a couple times to make sure that's got a really nice solid impression. I just love this beautiful floral set. And then seriously, it's a totally me thing. That's just something I would totally say. That's one of the things I really love about CC Design's sentiments, is they're me. They're absolutely me. So I'm going to go ahead, and this is also a sentiment from her set as well, You Do Best. And I'm going to push that up with that ruler again to make sure that that's lined up straight. And then I can ink that up. And I had an idea in my mind that I wanted to try. So this was a little nervous for me too. You'll see I kind of hesitate when I get to it. But I wanted to have a line separating the Seriously and the You Do Best. I almost heat embossed the sentiments and added on, but I wanted to try and keep the one layer. So I'm using that ruler, and this is a black Copic marker, Copic friendly marker, I should say, that I have. And I'm just drawing a straight line under the Seriously. And you can see I hesitated there. I was really nervous to do it, but I did it. And I'm really happy with it. I love that clean line look, separating that sentiment from the smaller one. And then just adding a couple jewels here at the end. So I'm really excited with how this card turned out. Even with the couple changes that I would have made, I'm really happy with it. And I love Kelly's inspiration. I'm so glad that she does her videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.